They asked me if I could help out a little bit with this session. I'm happy to do that. Sorry for those of you in the audience who heard me speak just a few minutes ago. Some of these slides I'm going to move through. I won't be repeating any. But Lehman Consulting Group, we spend a lot of energy in terms of helping organizations understand their analytics so that they can better optimize the experiences they're providing to their users. So, just to note about my slides, you see the little green circle. I've tried to take traditional frameworks, the mainstream, and apply them to the Latino space. So I'm going to skip through a couple of the slides at the beginning, which were oriented for the analytics presentation. We're going to move through these. First one I want to talk about is something with respect to segmentation. I presented this one in the last dialogue, but I think this is an important one. I actually presented a few tips on how to better segment and use those segments and those understandings so that you could optimize the conversions. Okay, now it seems to be moving forward. This is very delayed. Maybe you could help me move forward on the back. To slide 12. Here we go, next one, there we go. So in terms of looking at your variables in terms of the different ways that you can segment, I've presented here in this deck, and you can, if you follow me on Twitter, you can download the deck right there. It's on SlideShare. These 4 different dimensions. So on convenience, which would be simply through language, you can segment through demographics or firmographics if it's B2C or B2B. Geographic coverage, those are things everybody knows how to do. You can use the segmentation, advanced segmentation component in Google Analytics to just create a dimension for language or by geography. But I'm going to talk a little bit about how Latinos are different and how you can optimize given those different peculiarities. So in behavior, we're talking about things like brand loyalty and referrals. Latinos are much more apt to return to a brand that they like than other demographics, and you can see that in just about any research report. Forrester's report in 2007 from Tamara Barbara has some fantastic research on that. In terms of needs, well, social media has allowed us to basically have an extension of how we already communicate. I remember going to the grocery store, or it was actually at the grocery store, Sears, with my grandmother when I was a kid, and to make a purchase with a dryer. And my brothers, my mom, my dad, my abuelita, my grandfather, we all went to go buy that particular dryer. And we make decisions in groups, a lot of times with our family. And so, of course, as social media has become more prominent, that's just playing out in terms of how we communicate. It's not that we've changed our behavior to accommodate social media, rather social media has allowed us to extend those dialogues across our families. Segmentation maps are very powerful tools as well as you're beginning your conversion optimization to really understand the dynamics of the differentiation that you're offering. This is a tool that we've used in the past. Again, language, just adding language there to the right is something that's easily done. And being able to segment based on language. And there's lots of research as to whether or not you should build landing pages that are in Spanish, in Spanglish, or in English. But again, you need to understand your segment. So let me give you a couple of examples of some folks who I think did it right in terms of their segmentation. The first one is Silverpop in the technology area where they've segmented by role. I need to, my role is. Great example of being able to use an Ajax-based navigation here. I need to, my role is, as I hover, upon hover, the right side changes. A great example. Over there, Omniture is another one. I really like what they've done. They've broken out by different roles. Marketing executive, online marketer, or analyst. And you're able to present information again upon hover to that segment. So those are 2 B2B technology services. I tried to find something else. Longevity Ready is a website I helped iQuote and Longevity Alliance build. And this is a profiler And what's different about profilers for Latinos is that we tend to trust brands more than the mainstream. So when you have an opportunity to offer a product configurator, a product recommendation, a tool that's going to help make a selection, that we'll tend to use those more often and we'll over-index in those types of online experiences. So this is a profiler for long-term care insurance that we developed. And boy, talk about a morbid topic, right? So that's why we hired a cartoonist to help us go and ask 7 questions and then reveal to you at the end of that profile what you ought to be thinking about before you engage with someone who's going to sell that to you. Another one that I think is important to understand is that within our psychographic segmentation online and e-commerce, there's a tendency for us to over-index in the humanistic box on this deck here, which we've got slow and fast decision making that goes along with the speed of the decision, and then logical versus emotional. Are we deciding with our heart or our mind? So if we think about this in a B2B environment or a B2B or B2C environment, it still plays out. A lot of organizations actually are in the competitive and spontaneous, and I can't tell you how many times I've worked with a VC-backed fund or a VC-backed company, and they're moving at 100 miles an hour, and they don't go through a very rigorous RFP process. Right? When was the last time you saw that happen? So the methodical over there on the bottom left is what most B2B sales look like, but when you're talking with folks who are Latinos, they're going to have a tendency to want to hear about testimonials and other folks who've used the product. Again, it doesn't matter if it's the organizational culture or the individual is Latino. I think it's important to understand where they fit in the profile. And when you understand how to reach the right content, put the right content in front of folks, makes all the difference. Now, towards the end of the deck, I have some very specific tools that I can share with you in terms of how advertisers are presenting the right content at the right time, which was one of the points that Rick and his incredible solution is able to offer. So let's go down to slide 23 from the back. You could help me out to move down to slide 23. That might be a little faster than me. All right, we heard about the funnel a minute ago, and I was really glad to see that was something that was put in to Rick's presentation. 5 steps, whether it's B2B, B2C, we've all seen this before: awareness, consideration, interest, preference, purchase. There's a message and a metric for each step, and you need to understand what those metrics are going to look like. So metrics you might consider for awareness your impressions, your click-through rate. These are off-site. For consideration, that's the bounce rate. Hey, I got you to my website, then I keep you. If I get you to click anywhere on the website, the next metric is going to be some type of an engagement metric. Did I get you to start a funnel? Did I get you to start downloading a paper? If I'm an e-commerce website, did I get you into the shopping cart? At preference, we're putting things in the cart now. Or I've downloaded a white paper, or I've registered at this media website. And in purchase, well, that's a pretty obvious one. And these last 2, preference and purchase, these last 2, it's really important to loop back into the CRM system and to do what's called closed-loop marketing and really understand what ad in Google or Yahoo or Bing was the result or resulted in a sale. And that way you can ask the only question that really the CFO wants to know is what's the profitability or what's the return on investment? Profitability and investment are very different, and in order to get to the profitability statistic, you gotta integrate with your CRM systems, even sometimes your financial systems to understand profitability. So you can turn up the dial on things that are working and turn down the dial on those that aren't. All right.